What's up guys, it's Paraly5er here, and welcome to Mythbusting Part 27. This is the series in which I take your myths from the comments and test them in the game. Today we test a bunch of myths and break the game in every way possible, just like always. If you have any myths of your own, be sure to leave them in the comments below so I can use them in a future episode. Also, if you enjoy this series, then please leave a like on the video, it helps out massively. To start out the episode, we have our first double myth. These myths are both related and were sent in by Idiot Plays, who says, myth, can the baby mantis give you a gold card? And myth, does the baby mantis count towards opening the door? Let's test them out. I headed into the mantis boss fight in New Game Plus 2 and started hitting the mantis. Once the baby arrived, I made sure to only focus on killing and looting it and got the gold card on the first try. When I went to the door, the mantis screen was also green despite me giving up and not beating the infused mantis in the boss fight, only the baby. So this myth is double confirmed. The baby mantis can give you the gold card, and it does also count towards opening the door to New Game Plus, which is definitely a bug and not intentional at all. Today's second myth is myth. The pond dome mussel sprouts won't respawn if the dome is closed. Let's test it out. I headed to the pond dome and collected all of the mussel sprouts and then left without opening the dome. I sped up my game, and no matter how long I waited, the sprouts just wouldn't respawn. This would usually take 5 in-game days. So I decided to head back and open up the dome, and then sped up time again, and this time they did regrow, meaning that this myth is confirmed. If the dome is closed, the sprouts are unable to regrow. Our next myth today is one that I figured out on stream the other day. Myth, can you dupe grass planks? Almost anything can be duped using the super duper in Grounded. The only thing that we've found that can't be so far is the telepotties. But what about grass planks? Let's check it out. I grabbed a grass plank and the weed stem and took them to the super duper in the oak lab. When I went to dupe them, it said error, object incompatible with duping. This is the first time I've ever seen this message, and it also means that this myth is busted. You can't dupe grass planks or weed stems. Next up, we have a myth from Noah Dad, who says, myth, can you get the handy gnat soaked by flying into the hot tub? Now we all know that when the handy gnat touches water, it causes you to exit the handy gnat mode with the message, the handy gnat got soaked. But what about if we fly into the hot tub? Let's test it out. When flying into the hot tub, as you can see, the gnat is completely fine, which makes no sense at all, so this myth is busted. The handy gnat doesn't get soaked when you fly into the hot tub, he's just chilling. For our next myth, we have the handy gnat involved again. This one was sent in by Lil Skip and says, myth, the handy gnat scares away scarabs if you get too close. Let's check it out. I headed to the upper yard and entered handy gnat mode. I then looked around for the nearby scarab and flew over. When I got close, the scarab didn't even care. As you can see, I was even able to boop him and he wasn't bothered at all. So this myth is busted. The handy gnat doesn't scare away the scarab beetles. Up next, we have a myth from T-Bird, who says, myth, if you are carrying more blades of grass, it does more damage when you throw them at enemies. Let's test it out. I first threw a single grass plank at an orb weaver, and as you can see, it did barely any damage at all. Then I went and chopped down and grabbed a bunch of grass planks and headed back. I threw all 20 at the orb weaver, and as you can see, it did way more damage than last time, so this myth is confirmed. The more grass planks you throw, the more damage it does to enemies. Our next myth is related to New Game Plus and says, myth, can you upgrade Hunger and Thirst Drain to 0%? Now in New Game Plus, you can spend molars to reduce your hunger and thirst drain, but the lower it gets, the less it reduces each time. So can it actually hit 0? Well, as you can see from this image on screen, it is actually possible. Thank you to Expertrays for putting this in my Discord. They made it to New Game Plus 23 in order to get the hunger and thirst drain down to 0%, but they also didn't collect all molars every time, so this might be possible as early as New Game Plus 20. And they also tested it by leaving their game open overnight and still lost no hunger or thirst, so this myth is confirmed. You can eventually get to 0% hunger and thirst drain. Today's next myth has been sent in by Scarab Trap, who says, myth, you can plug the Haze during a raid. Let's check it out. Now I decided to do this using a waft emitter, as waiting for a base raid would take forever. ever, and they're basically the same thing. Once I had my defenses built, I put some random bug parts in and tried to trigger a raid, but it turns out the Haze overpowers the waft, meaning you can't start a raid inside of the Haze if it's not plugged. This was something I didn't know at all. So I moved the waft emitter out of the Haze and then started the raid. I ran all the way to the Haze canister, and the game did let me plug the Haze, causing the cutscene to happen. When I went back after, the raid was still going on. So this myth is confirmed, you can plug the Haze while a waft raid is occurring. Speaking of raids, our next myth is one that I figured out with the wonderful Emmy on our multiplayer world. Myth: in-game time is paused during raids. Let's check it out. I put some bug parts into a waft emitter and began a raid. As you can see, the timer in the top right doesn't change at all. The time is completely paused, even though the game time is still on normal speed. So this myth is confirmed. All raids will actually do this, from the waft emitter to base raids, as well as mixers and the Java-matic. It's actually a pretty useful feature to avoid it getting dark while you're doing these events. The next myth in today's episode is myth: if you cook an omelette, it will reset the timer on the black ant eggs. Let's check it out. I grabbed some black ant eggs and got it so they were about to hatch. I then made some omelette in the cookery and cancelled the cook after, and as you can see, the eggs got their timers reset, which means this myth is confirmed. You can hold on to black ant eggs for as long as you like by using this trick, although I'm not sure exactly how useful it is to do. Next, we have a myth from Purple Squirrel, who says, myth: the minty effect from an infused bug goes away after eating a spicy shard. Let's check it out. This myth interested me a lot, so I decided to grab both spicy and minty shards to test if this would work either way around. First, I got hit with a spicy attack, but when eating mint shards, it didn't cure my burn at all. Then, I got hit by another enemy with fresh, but eating a spicy shard also didn't cure me. So this myth is busted. Eating candy shards doesn't cure the effects from the infused creatures, but I goddamn wish it did. It would have been really cool. Today's next myth has been sent in by Black Widow, who says, myth: equipping the spicy charm lets you steal cooked food. Let's test it out. I grabbed a spicy charm, equipped Rascal Rogue, and got to punching. This took ages, by the way, but eventually I was able to steal some meat from a weevil, and it was in fact raw, which means this myth is busted. You can't steal cooked food from passive creatures. The penultimate myth today has been sent in by user IJ, and says, myth: you can enter a boss fight during payback. Let's test it out. I headed to the Wasp Queen arena and built myself a waft emitter. I triggered a payback with a bunch of enemies and then ran to the arena, but as you can see, it wouldn't even let me interact with the boss summon. There was no outline at all. So this myth is busted. You can't summon a boss during a waft emitter raid. The final myth in today's episode is myth: you can get guaranteed gold cards from enemies. Now this is the one you've all been waiting for, and I just happened upon this the other day, so I thought I'd share it with all of you. I first tested this on New Game Plus 4, and as you can see, when I kill enemies and loot them, I don't get the gold card every time. Not cool. But when you get to New Game Plus 5 or higher and kill any enemy and loot it, you will get the gold card every single time. As you can see, I get gold after gold, and I tested this on New Game Plus 7, and it still works there too. So this myth is confirmed. You can get gold cards guaranteed by just getting to New Game Plus 5 and killing creatures you need the gold cards from. I'm not sure if this is intentional or not, but I actually love it. It reduces the RNG. Thanks for watching today's episode of Mythbusting. If you enjoyed, don't forget to leave a like on it and put your myths in the comments down below. I'll see you in the next grounded video. Have a great rest of your day.